Thank you for tuning in to Ungentrified with Kent Johnson. Ungentrified takes an unfiltered view on pop culture, music, television and film, politics, current events, and topics central to the worldwide Black community. Ungentrified is a safe audio space for celebrating Black culture in its purest form. Hey, what's up, good people? Thank you for tuning in to another very special episode of Ungentrified. It's your boy Kent, and of course, I have B with me.
Hey.
And we are here to talk about, we're going to get right into it, into the third episode of season 4 for HBO's Insecure, which was Lowkey Thankful. So, I don't know about you, B, but this was a really good episode to me. A lot went on, and just brought me back to, a better time where we weren't locked in a house and we got to go see people like family members.
Mm-hmm. Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Even
right.
though right now I don't like to visit people. I'm an introvert, but it did make me like, oh, I wish I could have a Friendsgiving, and I'm so against Friendsgivings.
You don't do Friendsgiving?
No, that just means I gotta cook 2 meals.
Oh.
I gotta cook a Thanksgiving meal and one for people that I only kind of like.
Well, for me, so my family doesn't get together for Christmas. We get together for Thanksgiving. So that's like one of the few times a year where I actually go home and I end up cooking everything for Thanksgiving for my family. So they get basically a flown in personal chef for a couple of days to cook the Thanksgiving. So I work
and
on
to yell at
Thanksgiving.
you for not doing the recipes exactly how they would have done them.
Right. So I usually do Friendsgiving like a week before Thanksgiving. Or when I get back to Atlanta, I go over people's houses and eat their leftovers. So that's my version of Friendsgiving. But
and I forget that you actually have friends in Atlanta. I mean, since I'm not there, yeah. But that's cute for you.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. But yes, in Insecure Land, it is Thanksgiving, and there are a couple of different versions of Thanksgiving going on. There's the Friendsgiving, which is happening with Lawrence and
Condola.
Yo, I saw someone call her conditional on Twitter.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right, it is, especially given this episode. But they've been calling her everything under the sun except for Condola. But yeah, so Lawrence and Condola have Friendsgiving going on. Molly goes home to her family for Thanksgiving, and Issa plans to go to her mom's house, her mom and her stepdad's house, but ends up spending it at a Mexican restaurant with her brother. But let's get into the Friendsgiving first. So we come into
I feel like that one's the most complex one.
Right. You want to save that one for later? Because we do need to kind of dig into that one a little bit
more.
No,
you go for it. Whatever you want to do, I'm down.
All right. So we start off the episode with Lawrence and Condola, who have spent the night together. Like that's a thing now for them. And
yeah, that was like kind of romantic. Like, ooh, like they really in the throes of relationship. Them.
Well, not yet, because she still looked like dolled up in the bed. She still does that thing where like I gotta
have
look
the satin bonnet on.
Right? Yeah, yeah. They're not there yet. It's you can stay over, but you don't have a drawer. Like you gotta leave. One of us gotta leave.
I feel like he had a toothbrush there or something because he's coming out of the bathroom all fresh.
No, that's the toothbrush in the car.
That's the packed,
right?
The overnight bag.
That's the overnight bag. Yeah, the thought bag. Yeah. So they wake up.
But can I just say real quick before you get started, is that's my same alarm. The emergency broadcasting system. Yes. And I snooze it just like she snoozes it. Although I snooze mine like 6 times and my husband hates it.
No, I have the like soothing alarm that progressively gets louder. It sounds like the world is opening up. And I usually wake up like 5 minutes before it goes off. So,
Oh wow.
but we have different stresses in life. Like I don't have the stress of only being able to go to sleep 2 hours before because the baby just woke up.
That's true. Actually, my real alarm is my son who's always sneaking in the bed with me.
Right. Yeah, see, I don't have that yet. So mine is a nice calm waking up, not the screeching alarm
Yours
of
is
a
a
bank robbery.
leisurely, I own my own business kind of alarm. Mine is like, oh crap, the world is on fire.
Well, you know, alarms don't even make sense anymore given the situation that we're in. Like it's actually no, I've kept a really good uh schedule as far as like maintaining my sleep schedule. So I can't even trip off of that. But yeah, I know some people are all over the place right now with sleep.
I'm raising my hand right now. I'm the black girl emoji with her hand in the air.
But yeah, Condola and her aggressive ass alarm gets up and they talk about their upcoming plans for Thanksgiving. And he kind of casually brings up, oh, like, oh, what are you doing? Yada, yada, yada. I usually go to my homeboy's house. And she says, to his surprise, oh, no, I'm having something here. I'm having a Friendsgiving here, which,
Like, nah, I'm good. I don't need your
right.
pity invite. Because he was like, oh, you don't have any family here. Let me take care of you.
Right.
No thanks.
Meanwhile, she had plans and he wasn't included in them. So he included himself in those plans and kind of invited himself to her Friendsgiving that she was having at the house. So uh now it's a thing, and I think that put her on alert over like, oh well, this is not going to be the Friendsgiving that I was expecting. But
So
now
you
he's
think off the jump that it was a negative thing?
I think it was she got backed into a corner. Like you can't say no, you can't come to the person
Yes, you
that
can. You could be like, oh, I would invite you, but it's like you could if you really didn't want to. I thought she was like endearing, like, oh, I didn't think you would want to come. I'm so excited that you're coming, but no.
yeah, that's when you do that. You know that tone where you kind of raise it up at the end, like, oh, you want to come? Like where it's that question, that curve into a question.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, she that
Okay.
was her opportunity. She didn't do it. Um, or she could have just kept her mouth shut and be like, "Oh, I got something else going on," like she did in that last episode where we don't know where she was at.
Oh, are
We
you
can't-
disappointed that they didn't answer your question?
I know where she was at. She wasn't with
She was at
Lawrence,
Rodney's house.
right?
Or maybe
um,
that ex. Ooh, okay, never
she
mind. Sorry,
she
go
was
ahead.
no, she was at the plumber's house getting that pipe.
Oh
Oh,
my God. No, the guy, the YouTube guy, she was at his house because he was ready to bust it open.
right.
I love him.
A mess. Oh, so he's invited himself to her Friendsgiving, and he also mentions like how she just seems to have everything together, and he feels like he needs to step it up for her, and that becomes a theme that gets revisited throughout this episode. But uh, it kind of reminded me of like that point in a guy's life where he feels like, all right, I'm ready. Like whoever's next is marriage material. I'll figure it out. It'll work. I'm ready.
Is that what y'all do?
Or once you decide, like you decide to prepare yourself for that person. Yeah,
You're opening yourself up for those blessings. You're
right.
like receive those blessings.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it usually happens for folks when their hairlines start receding, or they going to the gym, don't turn their body around like it used to.
Mm.
Yeah,
But in Lawrence's case, from Issa's point of view, it looks like, oh, I got all my stuff together, so now I'm ready for I'm ready for that blessing. But well, for now, that's what he's thinking.
right, right. So he's on this, I got to step it up kind of kick, and then gets the news at work that some restructuring is going on, and I think,
Oh my God. When I saw that receptionist face, I've definitely seen that face before. I've been through a few rounds of layoffs, not just at this job, but in other jobs where a couple people know what's going on, but not everybody knows.
right.
Her face when she was like, "Oh, he got pulled into something." I was like, "Oh shoot, you fired."
Yeah, yeah. So I've been on both sides of the layoff situation. I was in HR where I headed reorganizations and layoffs, which is the worst. Like, people used to fear me in the building that I worked in because if I was walking on their floor, they knew that somebody was about to get let go. But
Oh,
yeah, when we would do like group wide reorganizations, and we would basically had to you would open up like a conference room and just have people rolling in all day and you sending them like
yep.
departure papers.
That's how I got laid off
Oh, it's
the last time when I got that I am. Can you meet me in the conference room? I was like, well, let me pack this stuff up so
yeah.
I can just make a beeline from there.
Yeah, it's bad. It's like being a doctor and having to tell people that they're dying or something. And then or you get like the mix of emotions where some people are staying and some people are going. So like in one room you're like, "Hey, congratulations, you got to keep your
You're
job."
all safe. Yeah.
And then 10 minutes later, you're like, oh, I'm sorry, about you and the kids. But
I'm
yeah,
sorry you just bought that house.
right. Yeah, it's rough. And then I've been on the chopping block too as someone who's gotten reorged out of a organization. So that sucks. And I think reorgs are just stupid in general because a lot of people just get pushed around into a new position with the same role. It's just a new title.
Mhm. And same salary.
Same salary, same job, or more job duties. Because
But
they
I
didn't let
also
go of
think just
somebody.
even saying reorg is just a nice way of putting like we're doing mass layoffs. So I think especially like me, like I work in a tech company, so we hear that all the time, riffs and stuff like that. So I think in his case, it's not like necessarily like a reorg. It's really like a massive layoffs.
Yeah, definitely a reduction in force. Um, so that train to stepping it up got put on hold. It got derailed for a moment because now he doesn't know what his future is going to look like. And mind you, he just started getting back on his feet.
Yeah, because they mentioned that or the friend, what's his name? the
Chad,
the terrible the terrible friend. Yes, he just mentioned that. He was like, "Well, at least you're doing better than you were a year ago. You was a bum a year ago."
right? Yeah, so he's on edge right now because he doesn't know what the future holds for his job and I'm sure he has, flashbacks, some PTSD from being unemployed and dating from the last time, especially because now it's a woman who has it all together, according to him.
Yeah, yeah. She's making everybody feel. She's got to have some kind of downfall because she's making everybody feel like she got all her stuff together. So she's about to go down in some kind of way. She has to.
Oh yeah, she going down, and we we
Oh, you
learn.
sound too excited.
Uh, look, I Condo had me in my feelings on this episode because she was cutting up, but um so let's fast forward to Friendsgiving for them. Friendsgiving is already awkward if you're coming into a space where you don't know any other friends, and then it's amplified if you're the new boo, or if you think you're the new boo. In this case,
But so wait, they've been dating for 2 months now, right? Because the show first started with like four months till whatever. So the what do you call it? The block party, and now we're down to 2 months before the block party. So they've been dating at least 2 months, and
hmm
he hasn't met a friend yet. Because these are her inner circle friends. If they come into the Friendsgiving, they're not
right.
just associates; they're inner circle friends. And this is the first time he's met any of them. She's met more of his friends,
Right, right. Friends, exes, a little bit of
right?
everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, she really has definitely a more deeper understanding of his circles than he does of her. So this is his first time, right, really getting a peek into the other side of Condola, and he got a little bit more than a peek than he expected. via her drunk friend Nikki at the party
Oh
who
my gosh,
uh,
she was a mess. That was like too much. So her husband should have took her home.
yeah, drunk Nikki was a lot, but she happened to mention to Lawrence in the kitchen that she's happy for Condola being in a better place because she was really rough after Mark, who is Condola's ex-husband, left her. So now we have this big piece of information. We knew that she had been
Mm-hmm.
divorced, but we knew nothing about that. And now we
We
know
didn't realize she was Taraji P. Henderson from Acrimony. Like we didn't realize that she was devastated and and misses her boo. Like I mean, not that that's what the friend said, but I mean that's what it sounded like.
Right. And the divorce wasn't that long ago. It was around the time that he was breaking up with Issa. It was, I think, they said a year and a
Hmm.
half. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so he got that piece of information, and then in conversation, it comes up that Condola never wants to get married again, and she
It didn't
says,
like come up. It was like it was like abusive in our faces. Like I hate marriage. Marriage hates me, and I hate anyone who's getting married. Like it was pretty aggressive.
right, yeah, which is I'm assuming par for the course for someone who's recently divorced because clearly your idea of marriage isn't what you thought it was at that point in the game. But I think Lawrence was kind of set back because, like I said, have if you've already decided, that I'm on the path to whatever this leads to, you know, whatever it is, and you see marriage in there for someone to give you that hard stop, it's like, wait a minute, huh? And then to be so casual about it too. Like, oh no, everybody knows I
Yeah.
ain't getting married again. Why don't you know that?
Yeah, like they haven't talked about that. Like that to me seems like I mean, maybe you're not talking about it right away, but I don't know. Like I feel like her aggressiveness would have come out before now.
Right.
Like, yes, I've been divorced and I really don't see myself getting married again, but you never know what will happen. This is the first time he's ever heard it and it was so mean.
But you know what? That's also the fault of a lot of folks too, because they'll be off in la la land with their own thoughts and never discuss it with the other person. Like Lawrence, in your mind, you already decided that this is the end game for you, and you ain't said nothing to Condola about it. So
True.
that it hit him like a ton of bricks, but it shouldn't have. 'Cause it should have been oh well, damn, we never did discuss that. Um,
But I also think it felt like a ton of breaks too because of the drunk friend and then that compound. The drunk friend was like, "Oh, I'm so glad she found something so casual." Like, and then I'm sure in his mind he was kind of like, "Well, I don't know if it's like so casual. I don't know.
right.
Like we're getting started, but." I think that totally tripped him up. It's so casual, and on top of the marriage is stupid. Like I think that made him like, oh, well, what the hell am I? What are we doing?
Right. Well, I mean,
Which is refreshing to see that from on a man instead
yeah.
of the woman.
But honestly, he should have seen that coming. Like, what sane divorced person is trying to jump right back into the saddle of a like hardcore relationship a year and a half out from being divorced? I, the only time you see that is on like the ID channel or Lifetime right before
Wait, the IG channel right before looking for Latoya.
right before somebody ends up dead. Like, this is the second or third or fourth marriage. This is when like patterns start in serial killers because they keep killing their spouses. That's when you see that kind of craziness. In most situations, a divorced person is not trying to get back into the saddle like that. And Lawrence should really know because this is what he did to Tasha way back when.
Oh, Tasha.
He played Tasha the same way he's getting played right now. It's the
But not
same thing.
exactly. I disagree. I feel like you can be like I said, you could be like, oh man, that divorce was rough. I don't see myself doing it again. But like to be so like aggressive on the other side, and I don't think that the person I'm dating would, unless I told them like I never want to get married again, or like I don't understand why they didn't ask like, oh, do you see yourself getting married again or whatever, or like what, how did that impact you? I feel like if I dated someone who just got divorced, I would ask a lot of questions, especially at that age bracket.
Hmm.
Like I feel like that's not so old that they're never going to get married again, or so young that, marriage is definitely on the table. I feel like they're in that realm of, oh, you don't have any kids, so does that mean you want to get married again? Or you could have kids without marriage. Like I feel like maybe it's only 2 months, so they're not in the thick of these conversations. But I do feel like they should have scratched the surface, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't like automatically assume one way or the other at this point.
And it's really a combination of things because it's Lawrence feeling a kind of way, but he's feeling that way because, you know, prior to him being single, he had been in a 5-year relationship. So when you compare that to his two friends, Chad and Derek who's married and got a kid on the way, and Chad who's, in a committed relationship. Did they get married? I forget if they officially got married yet.
I don't
With
remember either.
Leah, his girl. So, it was cool when you had a
But is
5-year
also a
relationship.
serial cheater.
Right. But he got something to come home to. Um, so when you were in a 5-year relationship, you could compare to those two levels of relationship because you had the length of time. Now that you don't, and you see people progressing along, you feel like you should be tagging along with them. That definitely happens around this time as far as
I definitely
age.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, like
I
you
remember
feel.
a lot of guys getting married then because they just felt like they should be getting married. And I feel like almost like we had this talk previously on one of the podcasts where I remember when I started dating my husband around third, we dated before, but then we got more serious at 30. And I specifically told him, don't try to lock me down just because you feel like you should be married right now. Because I've seen all those people are on their second marriage,
Hmm.
second, third, or whatever. Man, they're the serial killer people. Not really, but I mean, like they're the serial married people because they got married so young. So I was like, no, we're gonna take this slow. Like if we never knew each other before, like we're not gonna rush this because I don't want to be that person that just because you feel like that's where you are in your life that you want to have kids and get married that you're gonna do that with me. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it the long way.
Right, right. Yeah. And then, Lawrence and his feelings definitely hit Condola after everybody left with the what are we conversation. Um and shout out to how this scene was shot. I don't know if you picked up on this, but okay, they're in the kitchen, but there's an island. The kitchen island is between them and they're on opposite ends of the kitchen. So there's literally an island between them. There's a major space between them.
Look at you
And
with the symbolism.
right. And they, he hits her with the, hey, what's going on? What is this? Do you not want to get married? What are we? Um, and he kind of takes a shot at her, like, can you kind of explain what this is? And takes a little of an angry tone with her. She don't like that.
Oh
Cause
no,
she,
she doesn't, because she snapped right back.
right,
If anybody should be worried about her ex, it's me.
right, yeah, cause
What's
he
going
has.
on with you and Issa?
Right, which again, like I said, you said earlier that she has like a full view into his ex's situation and the dynamic between the two, whereas he knows nothing other than she got left and she was all up in arms about it. But he sees, or she sees rather, how Lawrence and Issa played out and where they are now, and that, of course, has put her on edge. Earlier in the episode, they run into Issa at, which is one of Condola's coffee spots. Like Condola put Issa on, Issa came to the spot on her own, and
Hmm.
then ran into Condola and Lawrence there. And Lawrence arrived before Condola did, and Issa and Lawrence shared like one of their little random moments where they have inside jokes. She came in on them being giggly with each
Oh,
other.
that was so awkward too. It was
Right.
like, yeah, I hope they're not dead.
Right. Right. You mofos is being giggly in my spot where I get my lattes. Yeah,
Yeah,
nah.
that
So
was awkward.
yeah, because people are serious about like they spaces. So there's already a blurred lines between what's supposed to be friendship and not between these three. Like they're a weird
hmm
space right now.
Triangle.
Yeah, as much as
They're
they try
weird
not to
sister
be.
wives right now.
Right, basically. So she brings that back up during this conversation, like you said, like, well, what's the situation with you and Issa? Y'all real chummy. Like, should I be worried about that? And then she hit him with the question that nobody wants to answer, and you only ask this question when you're trying to get out of things being put on you, a spotlight being put on you. But she asked him, if Issa didn't cheat on you, where would y'all be right now? And that's, to me, that's such a loaded question. It pissed me off because like,
It did. Well, you know what? I was more mad at her because he asked her about her ex, and she didn't answer the question there. So I felt like, wait, you're just moving on from your thing, like you said, to put it back on him. So I was like, oh, wait a second, she never answered the question. I was like, don't answer her.
yeah, well, we know she's sneaky because we still don't know where she was at on that romantic weekend.
Oh my God, I think this is the lawyer in you that is going to litigate this whole thing where there's no evidence of anything happening.
Oh no, there's evidence. She went somewhere and we don't know where, and we know that Lawrence wasn't there, and that she used Issa as a scapegoat because she didn't show up at that concert.
But she
Then,
might have showed up late.
nah, she
I
ain't show
can't.
up. Um, and
I think
then
you don't like her.
I don't now. Not after she asked that dumb question. Uh, like how do you answer that question? If they didn't cheat, would y'all still be together? Most likely,
You
yeah.
totally, but you don't know. I mean, maybe not because there was a lot of things that went into that. Even if Lisa didn't cheat, she might have still left him because he really was a bum.
I wish I could
So,
express how tight my lips are right now through this microphone through this recording because nah, like there's no. This is these kinds of questions. When I get hit with these questions, it's kind of like, you know what? Okay, let's answer the question behind the question. Why you
mm.
hiding? What you got to tell? Because like, there's no
No,
point.
that's true. That's why I said I think maybe she was with the ex-husband. If she was doing something, I'm not going to really delve into that. But if she was, I think it was probably with the ex husband. Maybe they had like a reconnection, even if it was only for one night. And I hear like Luther Vandross in my my ear right now. But I'm thinking like maybe that's what it was. Because when she didn't answer the question, when she was just like, "Oh well, we're not together" or whatever, she never said like she wouldn't want to still be with him. She just said, "Well, we're not together."
Right.
So so that right there makes me, it doesn't make me not like her, it makes me like understand where she's coming from.
Yeah, no, I don't like her. She done went from one side to the other side, and uh, so clearly Thanksgiving didn't end. Turkey Day didn't end the way they wanted it to, um, and Lawrence ends up leaving. So we'll put a pin on Friendsgiving, and let's move on to Molly and going home with the family. So uh,
Molly family so ghetto.
so Molly goes home for Thanksgiving. She doesn't bring Andrew, even though they consider themselves in a serious relationship now. They're exclusive now. So there was a whole
Well,
discussion.
she didn't bring him because of Issa
Right.
making more cracks on her, making her feel insecure about bringing him. But I feel like I feel like the Molly I know would have still asked him, just like she kind of like grazed past that whole thing when they went hiking. I feel like she would have still like broached the subject with him.
Right. Yeah. So we didn't really get to see. I mean, Andrew wasn't in this episode at all. Not even a Happy Thanksgiving text, which I thought was
I
weird. But
know. Yeah.
uh, I mean, other than the fact that she showed her family his picture when they asked who she was dating now, and and got a whole bunch of questions around his ethnicity and things like that. Especially because we remember the Molly of the past who was so gung ho about getting her black king. So,
Amen.
right.
But
So she.
like now I'm on what she's on because I'm like, hey, you look good. Oh, Asia Bay.
uh, So she's home. She still has some residual resentment towards her dad because, if you recall, we found out in earlier seasons that her dad had an extramarital relationship, and mom, got through it, and they work in a better space. But Molly was not able to let go of what she thought her dad was and the human that he ended up being. So she still, I mean, of course, in true Molly fashion, can't let stuff go, and is actively being an asshole about it, like,
Hmm.
just being
Well, I mean,
unnecessarily
sometimes
nasty.
I don't think she's being a hole about it. I think that some people don't get over things as easy as other people. Let's just keep it at that.
Oh,
Because I
okay,
would have still, if I'm mad about something, I will hold on to it too. Especially if it's somebody that you held in such a high regard.
right.
Just because you over it, don't mean I got to be over it.
But it's also that moment in life where you, as an adult, and now that you have like your own baggage and your own mistakes that you've made, you have to come to terms with the fact that your parents are human too. And I mean, her brother kind of puts it a little bit more roughly than that, where he said, dads is niggas too. um,
They just grown up.
right, they
They're
just
just
grown
older
up,
or something like
right?
that.
So, I think people have a hard time, bringing that understanding home to them, that, like, no, our parents were young at one point. Our parents are human just like we are. I mean, we assume that we just cutting out and cutting up in the world, and that our parents didn't do the same thing when they were in our space, or doing the same thing now. you know. Um, so it's hard for people to, like I said, reconcile with that idea that their parents are regular people too, and she really having a hard time forgiving. But I mean, this is what she does. She holds on to things a little bit longer than most people do.
Yeah. And
So,
that's why I relate to her.
but you know what? I gotta give Molly a gold star, a citizenship award or something, because this season she has really been trying to be a better person. Every
Okay.
time, well, no, look, every time somebody
I'm just waiting for
presents,
you to tell me how she did today.
every time somebody presents an issue that she has to her, she does something to address it. You know, so in
Mm-hmm.
this situation, her brother was like, "You got to, let go of that. Dad is a human just like the rest of us, and it's clear what you're doing. Everybody can see it. You got to figure that out."
Yeah.
So, here we
She,
go for symbolism again.
she bring him
She
some humble pie.
Right, she brings dad a piece of pie, which is her humble pie,
I
and
knew that's what you're gonna say.
right, that's
Yes.
her peace
Hmm.
offering.
Hmm.
The other side of that is, so, and I'm so mad that I chose now to bring this up. We should talked about this earlier. So Issa and Molly at the beginning of the episode have it out in Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, what have you, where they got $3
It
avocados.
was Bristol Farms. Bristol Farms. Okay.
Oh, it was Bristol Farms where they got $3 avocados, and
Yes.
Molly got a grip of the
Organic.
right. I was like, that's like $40 worth of avocados.
Yeah.
Nah,
Well,
in
it
the
might have been
land of
back when we was having a
avocados.
no, but we was having a shortage for a while when we couldn't get them from Mexico or something.
Nah, you get
We were short on guacamole.
you get are canned avocados a thing? If they are, you get canned
No,
avocados.
no, they are not, and I will throw that at someone if they try to give that to me. That's like Glory's greens. Remember when I asked you last week
Yes,
if you made Glory's greens and you wanted to hit me through the phone?
I was highly disrespected by that question. Um, but yeah, like those are some expensive avocados, but they
It's a
shopping
Cali
for
thing.
right for for Thanksgiving, and it became like they just fell into like a shade-a-thon. I forget who said what first, but darts were
I think it
thrown.
was Issa. I think it was
Yeah,
Issa.
I think it was Issa too, but I know that basically it was brought up that Issa had been setting it out for for weed and Hennessy, and that Molly used to smash her husband that wasn't her husband. Like they was just
She's yes. She was like, you was just doing drugs just 30 seconds ago.
right. Yeah,
Yes.
it was an opportunity to kind of let them things that have been boiling fall out. But then they were good enough to be like, all right, look, we've been off for a minute and we need to figure out why we've been off. So let's talk about
Hmm.
it. And they had set the time to talk about it to be like after dinner at Molly's house. They're gonna meet at Molly's house for some of the pie and talk it out and have a come to Jesus moment and get back in good graces with each other because they realized that they've just been off.
Hmm.
So in the midst of everything that's going on with Molly at her house, she's texting with Issa like, "Hey, you still coming through?" Da 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 da. And Issa and her Thanksgiving uh, gets kind of derailed. So Issa and her brother Amal are going to their mom's house to celebrate Thanksgiving with mom, her new boo, which is, I think, are they married? I think it says stepfather.
I think they said stepdad
Yeah,
too.
and his twins, his adult twins. But when they arrive, something happened to the dad, and he had to go
But
to the
wait, the way
hospital.
that they ran when they thought it was the mom, and
Right.
then did a full screeching halt when they realized it was the stepdad, that cracked me up.
And I know that too. I know that feeling all too well. Oh, but shout out to Issa and Amal's mom being Wendy Raquel Robinson or Principal
Yes.
Greer from the Steve Harvey Show.
Yeah, I was wondering, did we not know that before? Like, we haven't seen her before, right?
Yeah, and I realized right before we saw her, I was like, oh, we've never seen her parents before. Now Issa's real mom was an extra in the first season.
Mm.
But we've never seen their parents. Only thing we know about Issa's family is we know where they used to live. 'Cause,
Hmm.
her and Nathan went to the house, and we know about her brother Amal. But other than that, we don't know
Yeah,
too
when I
much.
saw her, I was like, wait, did I know that was her mom before? Or like, my memory, my memory's bad.
Yeah, no, we didn't know. We didn't know. You're still good. So mom heads off to the hospital with the stepdad, and Issa and Maul decide not to wait for the adult twins to show up, and then just go to a Mexican restaurant and have Thanksgiving on their own.
So now this kind of puzzled me a little bit because I did not know that Mexican restaurants are open on Thanksgiving. I know Chinese restaurants are open on Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's a grip of spots open on Thanksgiving. Like you can get Denny's on Thanksgiving.
what?
Um, yeah, and then I always thought this was random too. Like people will go out to eat after Thanksgiving dinner. I've never done that.
What? How
Yeah,
can you? I've not done anything other than Black Friday shopping on Thanksgiving night. And even that now, I'm done with that. I do everything online.
yeah. Like I've done the movies but normally now that I'm the cook for my family, I'm dead tired by like 6 o'clock. Like I eat my one plate and then I go lay down or something.
Now, is this because you're the cook or because you old now? Because
Yes,
I think it's because I'm old.
yeah, yes to all of the above, and the fact that because I'm coming from the East Coast and everybody's on the West Coast, I'm 3 hours ahead of them too. So they working me like a nurse in a hospital during COVID-19, and
Aw.
then um,
Thank you for your service.
thanks,
Not
no
you,
problem. Right.
the
Yes,
nurses.
thank the nurses, the doctors, and all of the essential
Hmm.
workers right
Everyone,
now.
the grocery store people, yes. Power to the people. I really love y'all.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, they work me and then uh, kick me out like 2 days later and send me home. So,
Right after
yeah,
she gives you all her subliminal Christmas, her Christmas list.
right.
Just like, oh, it's really dusty in here. I wish I had a vacuum.
Yeah, and then they sent me home. Right. Um, So yeah, they go to a Mexican restaurant for Thanksgiving, and they have their own version of Thanksgiving. It's just them two, and we kind of see like a tender moment between them. Usually, her and
Yes.
Amal are at each other's necks, but we got to learn a little bit more about Amal, and
Oh, I loved it. Yes.
yeah, it was a cool moment for them, and and then Issa kind of gave space for Amal that she normally reserved for Molly, and started talking about this whole Condola Lawrence situation, and then gave a little monologue which triggered a lot of folks about feeling like Condola has gotten the better Lawrence, and that she got
Mhm.
the Lawrence that Issa created and built up, and
Mhm. Mhm. I'm sorry. I'm just listening.
right. And I was just like, I've heard that version of that conversation so many different times where, especially my female friends. I never hear a male friend talk about they didn't build another woman up or another man up for somebody else. I've never heard men say that. It's usually women saying that, and I'm not disagreeing with them. I do think that some women take men who are scraps and uh, the bottom of the barrel and make them something shiny and then get left.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and I mean,
And when he get on, he leave your yeah. Well, okay. So listen, let me just say this. When like way back in the beginning of the episode, when Kondo and Lawrence are chatting, and he talks about how he wants to be better for her, like
mhm,
not for her, but like he needs to step his game up. And she's like, oh, you're perfect. So in that moment I actually had that thought where I was like, is he perfect? Like, would she still, if he was the Lawrence that Issa had, would she be happy? Because there are so many successful, or at least better off women that do take these scraps and say like, that's okay. He's got a good heart. I'm gonna take, I'm gonna mold him. I'm gonna train him. I'm gonna do whatever, and make them who they are. So I did wonder in that 1 second, it did cross my mind. I got to be honest and say that I've not ever molded anybody. Not that I didn't mold them. Like, I molded them to be a better man, but I didn't necessarily mold them into like a super career driven, man or whatever. If they were good when we were together, they ended up being good after. And if they were a bum when we were together, like bum not having a job, they haven't really grown that way either. So I don't know that aspect, but I do know the aspect of being with somebody and saying like, they're not the perfect person that I would want, that I think I deserve, but I'm going to put up with them and groom them and make them a better person, like actual person, not necessarily like the work part.
right.
So that did cross my mind, not a tangent, but I did think that in that moment, which was funny to then see her, say exactly what I had been thinking, that Lawrence, Lawrence is who she had wanted him to be the whole time, and who she actually had believed that he could be. So she, Kondo really is reaping the benefits of all of her, going to work and dredging, paying all the bills and doing all the stuff. And I brought this up earlier about the acrimony because I just saw that movie. I know I'm like hella late, but it's the same thing, right? Like where she, was nearly broke, and they was, I mean, they was not struggling, but they weren't really doing well because Issa was paying for everything. She was like so tired from work, and she coming in the house and he had sleep on the couch and not doing nothing. And then all of a sudden now he has this great tech job, and out on his own, living his best life. He humping everything inside, and not
Catching
now, but
STDs.
like right, but back before, like he was doing, living his best life, and now he's with someone who she wants to, live up to. And she's like, dang, those the Cosbys there. Like she's just like looking at them like in adoration, like, dang, that could have been me if I was where I, now she's doubting herself. If I was where I wanted to be, and he's who I had groomed him to be, like, dang, we could have been something.
Right,
But
we could have been a
here I
power
am.
couple.
Yeah, but here
But
I
here she is struggling now.
am. Listening to a Mexican Thanksgiving Day song.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I know that space is real familiar. And look, we'll talk offline about how the hell Taraji got back on that boat in acrimony.
Yeah.
Because I watched it like 2 months ago for the first time. Because shout out to Amazon Prime, but yeah, and we'll also talk about how I think Taraji was wrong in that movie. But
Oh, me too. Okay, girl, yeah, we can talk
yeah,
about
we
it
can talk about that
later.
offline. Um, but yeah, I mean, kudos to Issa for putting voice to whatever she's been thinking and being able to be comfortable with saying that. But you shouldn't have cheated. So you could have had it, but you cashed in your ticket for the wrong, for the wrong piece. So,
I
uh,
mean, it was a pretty good piece though. I mean, other than the sperm in the eye too.
um, but yeah, so she puts that out on the table, and like I said, that's a conversation that normally would have been a Molly conversation, but since they were on the outs at that moment, um, then she was cool with that. And the reason I felt like she was even more cool with having that conversation with Amal is that when she got to the restaurant, she texted Molly and was like, "Hey, Thanksgiving was a little crazy, and we running a little late." And Molly, this is I'm not giving her a reward for this. This was the time Molly was Molly. This episode was like, "Do you, girl?" Like very
Yeah,
dismissive. Like
I
not
saw
like
that.
she didn't even ask her like what happened or
hmm It was
are
like, you
you
let me
okay?
down again.
Right.
Bye.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just been. I feel like this separation between the two has been, um, a comedy of misplaced like timing, because is she catch Molly in a mood where Molly's in a bad mood about something else, and it gets compounded into that, other than being taken for what it actually is in the situation.
Mm.
Because like I said, she was all about herself, didn't even ask like what was going on or she was okay. It's just like, do you, girl? And when you tell somebody, do you, that's very
That means,
dismissive.
yeah, that is for real. Bye. Whatever.
Right. I've already had the conversation. You can come join it if you want to. It's cool. Like that's
hmm
very, curt and dismissive. So
But that was the same as her response later. But can I also just say that why are they taking so long to get these text messages too? Because when she said "do you, girl," right after she said "I'm gonna be running late," um, Issa didn't get that message until they were sitting down and they had an hour wait.
I think
So
part of that too is that she was just having a good time and not being in her phone and actually like in the moment with a mall. 'Cause, you don't, especially during Thanksgiving, if you active and stuff, you
I
don't
feel like I
have.
heard it buzz. I feel like I heard her phone buzz.
Uh,
I think she got some bad service.
right, right. Hey, she can't afford the luxuries right now.
She don't have a Verizon
She
phone.
she got, she got a cricket phone right now or something. I don't know.
Oh,
But and getting that, do
you gonna
you,
get some cricket
girl?
backlash.
Right. Yeah, no sponsorships from cricket this episode. She started sipping on that margarita and really started talking with Amal and was like, okay, I am going to do
hmm
me. And
hmm
Amal, and talking about like what's going on in his life, he said, I'm done changing for people. And I think that kind of resonated
hmm
with Issa. And
Yep.
I am going to do me was kind of her sentiment after that. So that was kind of everybody's Thanksgiving. Issa and Amal are on the way to drop him off at the house. It's late. If the meeting that was supposed to be between her and Molly became the meeting that never happened, which I don't know about you, but I saw that coming like 10 minutes earlier in the episode. I was like, oh, this ain't gonna
Yeah.
happen. I
Yeah.
mean, it's already Thanksgiving, so like schedules are haphazard to begin with, and yeah.
hmm
Things always go longer than they're supposed to. You always stay at somebody's house longer than you're supposed to, or you just get tired of moving around on Thanksgiving. It just happens. So I knew that meeting was
Yeah.
gonna happen.
But I
Uh,
also like to your point of saying the that she had let her brother in to the space that she reserves for Molly. So she already had the talk, like
Mm-hmm.
a talk that she would have wanted to have with her. So she was kind of like, I'm good. Like, I don't need that pie right now. I mean, I would like the pie, but I don't feel like I need that conversation. Like she was like, "We can we talk later?" And
Right.
then Molly was like, "Yep, yep."
Yep.
Like I
Yeah.
even felt like I rolled my eyes when she was texting it. Yep.
Yeah, it was what she said another time. And when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, it ain't happening." There was no like
Hmm.
defined date, because mind
Like
you,
tomorrow.
right, this is a 4-day weekend. It's Thanksgiving, so everybody is off from Thursday to Sunday. So you got
Mm,
nothing but time uh, during this weekend to get things done if you wanted to. People had the time to spend
hmm.
with friends, this, that, and the third. That's just a given. But
Yeah.
there was no defined date and time for that. Uh, so Issa drops them all off and just decides to go home. And in her going home, we cut to Lawrence, who's at his house, who's doing what everybody does on IG. I mean, on Thanksgiving. They scroll through their IG and see what everybody else did for Turkey Day. And he sees a
Hmm.
clip of Issa and Amal at the Mexican restaurant. And he sends a little like crying face laughing hard emoji. And your
And I did
girl,
not think it was that funny.
right, your girl, them three dots popped up quick.
Yeah, they did.
There, look, you
But we don't know if she said anything. We do not know if she responded because sometimes you get the three dots and then you're like, nah, that's good, thanks, and that's it.
right,
But you don't
right.
say nothing back.
We don't know, but like I said, we do know that it was 0.2 milli. She already had that junk open before he sent the message. She had it waiting.
Yeah.
Look, that's why she didn't get her text message, because all her data was going to IG waiting for Lawrence.
But I
Um,
liked that they were all kind of like looking at IG this whole episode. Like it was kind of like around like perception, right? Like of what's going on in other people's lives. So you saw old girl with her aunties and getting
yeah, Kelly.
drunk and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then you saw before he even got to Issa's, he saw his friends kind of like at the end of their Thanksgiving night, kind of like she's pregnant and sleep, and
Mm-hmm.
he's just so happy to be there with her and to like take care of her. And I'm thinking like back to like what you were saying, which is that's the family life that he is now wanting and is being denied, and now that made him then see Issa and be like, look at my girl. She out here having fun. In my eyes, I was thinking like, oh man, he's looking at Issa at the Mexican restaurant all alone. Not alone, but like with her brother. Like it's not like a family thing. Everybody doing family stuff. And which you tend to do on Thanksgiving, and she's out, even though she's with her brother, it's and like having fun. It just seems kind of sad to me. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And he still has that question that Condola threw at him in his head, like if Issa didn't cheat, what would it be? So
Hmm.
he's riding off of the residual shot from that, and that's clouding his judgment right now. And it
Hmm.
could be completely innocent, but it's not, because we already know
It
that
could be.
it ain't. It
Not
ain't.
it, especially because of how he was hanging. He was slamming that phone. Like if we still had receivers, like he would have slammed the phone down on Issa last week when,
Right.
when she called her. Versus now he's reaching out to her. Like
Hmm.
he did reach out to her. That one moment, but he still chopped it real quick. This is him like actually engaging with her, right? So after running into her at lunch and having that like super fun, reciprocity between each other, then to now have some kind of like a feeling for her, like his whole mood just like did a whole U-turn on on things from
Right.
him wanting to just be like cut it off last week.
Yeah. And this is the season for it. This is when people get in that space. The holidays bring out a lot of emotion in people. And I
They
mean, we
do.
see that. We see the memes all the time, like the toxic
Mhm.
X memes with Future and Lori Harvey. So this is prime, time for that. And as I mentioned, it is a long weekend. So long weekends are ripe for toxicity. Like this is when all of that bad behavior comes out, especially when, old flames and this and the third. So look, they still got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to be a fool. And then of
Mm.
course, I thought this was a perfect way to end the episode when he sends the
Oh
smiley
my God.
face
Yes.
and Maya's case of the X.
And I was singing to Zara. I was like I had went back into time because back in those days I wasn't the best person back then. But yes, I was grooving to some old Maya.
Yeah. Yeah, and it definitely put us in the mindset of like, oh, what's about to
Something's about
happen?
to happen. Oh yeah.
And did you see the previews for next
I
week's episode?
did. I made
Okay.
sure I watched this week and I liked what I
Oh,
saw.
right, because look, if we thought they was giggling now, they definitely giggly. And
hmm
I don't know,
and Molly's eye rolling and rolling like
right.
she's like this nigga, like,
Yeah, so I'm wondering
and
where
that
they
could be for
at.
both.
Because
I think they're at the like I think it's like almost I want to say like a sip and see because the baby's here,
yes,
and
the
so I
baby
think
is
they're
here.
all at the house. But I don't. Does that look like their house? I think they're at the house meeting the baby, and so they chit chatting outside like now.
I know, yeah, wherever it
Did you
is,
like what you saw?
right. Molly was on the second level looking down
Mhm.
at them. So you're right. It might be like her in the baby's room at Tiffany's house because we do see that Tiffany does have the baby
Mhm.
in the next episode. The next episode is Lowkey losing it. So I don't know what that is alluding to, but it could mean a lot of things.
Yeah, so I don't think we went a full month. Either we went because it's not a Christmas episode, right? So everything was thematic before, where it was like Halloween, Thanksgiving,
Right.
and now this doesn't look like Christmas by any means. Although it's LA, you can't really tell.
Right.
But there's
Yeah.
no lights up.
Yeah, I think we're in between that. I think it's
Yeah.
in the middle of December, and now we know we
Mhm.
kind of have almost an exact date for the block party. So it was around like January 25th because if Thanksgiving was 2 weeks, so it's between Martin Luther King Day and January 25th for the
Okay.
block party.
You trying to put it in Black History Month?
Hey, maybe. Um, but one thing I noticed, I don't know if you picked up on this, there was no sex scene this week. There was no sex scene at
No.
all, which hey, I'm cool with.
There was like lovey dovey ish in the
Yeah,
beginning with Lawrence, um, but and we didn't see Andrew at all. So
yeah, we
no,
didn't see Andrew at all. There
and
was
and,
no
and
sex scene.
TSA Bay is gone.
And yep, so yeah, no sex scene this week.
No, it was a family like a family friendly episode.
Yeah, it was very very Thanksgiving-ish
Yes,
as
yes.
far as those episodes go. And I don't know. I think we're definitely going to see like what happens when exes get that.
Reunite.
Right. Well, maybe it could work, and we all know that this is prime time for disaster because going back to the ex is never what you think it'll be. Well, very rarely. There are some
Very
exceptions where
well.
people come back to it and it's better, or you got that man you built up, or that woman who is not a cheater no more, or whatever, what have you. It
hmm
works, but usually when people come back, it's
The
not.
grass is not always greener, especially if this is like 2 weeks or however long in advance, and then we find out that Lawrence doesn't have a job any longer. So that if they do get back to not get back together, but like get close again or whatever, start chit chatting, and then she sees that sees more about him, like he doesn't have a job anymore, or not that that's the end all be all, but that he's not as perfect as she's envisioning him to be, and then he might just realize that it wasn't just the cheating that would have turned him off too.
Right. Right. And we don't know what happens now with Issa and Condola when they see each other again. Because like, what's the discussion? Do you act like it doesn't exist, Condola, like it never happened? Do
Yeah, because
Issa?
the animosity is only on her side, because Issa has the awkwardness on her side. So that's something that I did like to that they all kind of came to their realizations, right? So everything that the like their friends or whomever had projected on them that they were kind of like denying, they actually it all circled back around and was like, this is a weird, threesome, or this, maybe I don't feel comfortable with how things are going with Andrew or whatever. Maybe I do need to vocal, like everything that people were saying, they had to like actually deal with that and maybe even say out loud, like, oh, I actually do have a problem with this specific thing or whatever. So I did like that in this episode, but I think next episode is when they're going to actually like deal with those things for real
Mm-hmm.
and say whether or not they're going to keep it pushing. I mean, Issa has to still work with Condola. I mean,
Right.
she does, right?
Yeah. I mean, and this
I
is,
mean, like this is volunteer for Condola at this point, but and Issa doesn't have any issue with her. It's really Condola that would it has the issue.
yeah, Issa's not in competition with Condola over Lauren. She's in competition with Condola over, I want to be like Condola.
Achievement.
Yeah.
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 So who knows where they'll end up going forward in this season. But I saw a conspiracy theory that Torian and Condola were on a vacation together. That's who she was with. And I was
What?
like, y'all are reaching.
That's
Um,
beyond.
but I feel like Torian does play a bigger part in this season. I hope Molly
Hmm.
doesn't do anything like mess around with him and ruin
Mm.
what she got going with Andrew. So who knows? I don't remember seeing Andrew in the clips for next week either. So
He wasn't.
yeah,
But that doesn't mean he's not in it. He just
right. Because
wasn't
clearly
at
the
but it doesn't make sense for if it's just them at the like sip and see or whatever, it doesn't make sense for him to be there. If
right,
he didn't come to Thanksgiving, he's not coming to that.
right. Yeah. So that's
Interesting.
that's what
I know
we
you saw
have.
at Molly's mama's house where she had the black last supper and she had like 13 crosses on on her
Yes.
wall. She only was missing Martin Luther King up there.
In the footprints.
Oh my god, my mom did have that too.
Did you notice that Kelly's IG name was Kelly the wife? Like that's very uh very much Kelly.
Yeah.
Also
Yeah.
and looking for Latoya, how they really had a press conference about the Toyota.
I know. And then the cop ran back and grabbed the like, oh, we're not talking about this. Oh, let me get that.
Right. Yeah,
No,
so
yes. But wait, wasn't at the beginning weren't they saying like looking for
Jaquan.
Jaquan,
Jaquan.
yeah. And I was like, wait, whoa, did we skip episodes? Like what happened? Did we find the Toya? What's going on
Oh no
now?
no no no! That Jaquan was last season, so Latoya's this season of looking
Is
for
it
the
oh they
looking for
found him.
series, right?
Well, I have fun with this episode. You built it up by telling me that it was a really good episode, and I'm glad. I'm glad that it lived up to its potential. So I can't wait
Yes,
till next week.
yeah,
Next
me
week
too.
is I'm more excited about next week because I want to see what happens next.
Right. Oh, and let me tell HBO, I'm on to y'all. I know why we have 10 episodes this season because if you were like me, you started up your HBO subscription the night Insecure came back on. And if it was 8 episodes, that's exactly 2 months. But now that it's 10 episodes, I got to pay for a third month. I see what y'all did. I, I,
They're
I,
trying to see if you might see something else.
I peep game. I peep game.
They might want you. They might come out with like some kind of a spinoff that start up right after Insecure that you're gonna fall in love with. You never know.
Yeah, see.
They trying to give you opportunities.
I see that. So y'all got me. All right, you're gonna get my $15 more this year. Times is hard, but I got you. But I definitely peep game.
Well,
But all right, you guys, that's all we have for this week and our discussion of Insecure. Of course, if you like what you heard, go back and check the other episodes if you haven't already listened to them, and tell somebody else about the foolishness that we talk about every week on here. after the episode airs. You can find this episode and a whole bunch of other episodes where I talk to people about what's going on in the world on the website, ungentrifiedpodcast.com. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter at ungentrifiedpod. Of course, until next time, B, it was good talking to you.
You too. Bye.
Peace.